Hey guys, Gibby12 and egoballas here. We got a lot of requests for a MacDev clone review, so that's what we're going to do. Here we have the gun itself in its case, not the gun, the case of the gun with the gun inside. So let's do an unboxing right here. So, start off with a nice zipper case. It's pretty small, which is nice, and it's a sturdy build. When we open it up, we have our 2-piece barrel and Allen key set, and then open the flap, and we have the gun, a little bag of spare parts, and some lube. And so, in-game review. What do I think of it? So, I used it for a couple of days on the field. It shot very consistently. I didn't get any chops. Maybe one. That was because of the paint, not the gun. I shot well over four cases. Nothing went wrong with it. It was a very nice marker. The kick on it is it's like a Geo kick, but a little softer. So it's really nice. All right, let's take it apart.
Alright guys, so first thing, pretty standard what most guns are going to do is take apart the grips. So be patient as that gets done. And after the grips, I usually go for the eye covers, because pretty much after every time you use any gun you should be cleaning the eye covers, because they're pretty important in how your gun operates and they can very easily get dirty. And when they're dirty, it's not good for your gun. Alright, so final screw here, and then the grips will be off. You just throw the screws into the screw pile. So pretty much after the grips are off, I just wipe away any dirt or paint or any sort of stuff that's there that should not be. Alright, so just make sure the area where the grips are is clean, and once they are, go ahead and take apart the eye covers. Clones have just standard eye covers, one screw. Alright, detents are pretty cool. They're a nice green color. Flip the gun over and do the same to the other eye cover. So the simple maintenance on the clone is pretty simple, like all simple maintenance should be. You know, eye covers, grips. When we get to the bolt later on, you'll see that the clone actually has a pretty interesting bolt, but we'll get to that when that gets taken apart. So pretty much wipe away any dirt on the eye cover, it's on the eyes itself, and also you should pop out the detent by sticking your hand down the breech and popping it out. And usually I tend to find some dirt on there from the paint. So once that's been done, you can pop the detent right back in there. And the next thing I usually get to on any gun after eye covers and grips is basically I take apart the macro line and then I work on the regulator. Alright, macro line time. So you first take off the macro line by pushing in on the macro fittings and pulling, and then you simply unscrew the regulator. Clone regulator is pretty simple on how you take it apart like most regulators. So we first unscrew the bottom half of the regulator from the top half. There you see. And pretty much you don't have to do this every time you play, but I tend to because it really can't hurt to just clean off any paint that might have gotten in there. Just take apart the regulator, clean it, and you could put some lube around the pistons and the O-rings on the regulator. If you're nifty, lube over there. Alright, so that's the bottom half of the regulator, that's the piston. So first clean off any debris or dirt or paint might ever get on there, and then lube it up a little bit. Top half of the regulator. Alright, so after the regulator's dealt with, usually I then go to the bolt, which pretty much is one of the remaining few places that I maintain on the clone every time I play. Of course, if you have, if you were shot in the feed neck or in the ASA, you can always unscrew those and clean that, but that didn't happen to me, so that won't be getting done. So far, just to refresh, we have taken off the grips, the eye covers, cleaned those, cleaned the area around that, and we took off the regulator, cleaned that, and lubed that. And now, probably the last thing we're going to do right now is take apart the bolt here. Like I said before, I mentioned this, the clone bolt is pretty unique to others, so you'll get a sense of that pretty quickly.
I'm so confused.
Got the right Allen wrench there, big boy?
None of them fit. None of them fit at all. There we go.
Got it? Fantastic. I think the Allen wrench set you get with the clone, I imagine, would have the correct one, but we are missing a few from the original set, so we got 3 different sets of Allen wrenches here to try to help us out. But anyway, bolt's getting unscrewed now. Pretty standard with most spoolies. You unscrew the back cap first. Unscrew it by hand, maybe.
Oh.
Yep. Alright, so there's the bolt. Hold that up for a sec. Alright, so as you can see, it's a little complicated, but it's not a gold bolt, by the way. It's the stock clone. It's not a clone VX. It's a stock clone bolt. So we'll get to work on that. First off, as it's whole, you're gonna rub off any debris, paint, dirt, whatever that might be on it. And then I usually take the bolt apart after that and work on each piece individually to make sure that it's been, maintained properly, cleaned. And then after that's done, you can lube each piece individually, and then once it's put together, you can kind of give it a final little lubing session. You don't want to over lube, but you also don't want to under lube, so you kind of get the sense of what amount is correct, and you'll see as we continue. I'm unscrewing the bolt now. Alright, so we got the full bolt taken out here. The bolt itself is a full 7 pieces. It's a pretty complicated bolt, like I said, but I mean, it's not necessarily just because it's 7 pieces. Don't get scared that the clone is hard to maintain. I mean, 7 pieces sounds like a lot, but they all come out pretty simply, and they all are easy to maintain. So anyway, so you brush off any paint or debris that's gotten onto any individual parts on the bolts, and then after that you take some lube and you re-lube the bolt. Generally lube around the O-ring on the bolt, and you can also lube a little bit around the other areas of the bolt. Definitely don't over lube. Too much lube is not good for the gun, actually. So correct amount would be, you can see a little bit, maybe a few smears of white, but your whole bolt should not be covered in white when you're done with this. You still want it to be primarily black, but you also want it to be lubed enough so that gun's working to its full potential. So we're going to continue to look at each individual part of the bolt. And like I said, clean the bolt and then lube each piece individually. After that's done, you will put the whole bolt back together, and then I usually do a final lubing to the bolt as a whole, and then it can go back in the body. There goes the bing bong ball. Pulled off. Alright, so be patient here. I know it can take a while because, like I said, there's 7 pieces, so it's going to take probably less than 5 minutes once you get the hang of it. But in this video, I'm not going to edit out any of the cleaning so that you see every piece that has to be done if you have a clone at home and you're kind of following along. But we're almost done here. I think we're on the last piece of the bolt. Woof, woof. Alright. Not gonna lie, first time taking the bolt apart, you might need to look at a diagram online on how to put it back together. But well, also you can watch this video and figure out how. But if you're doing it without this video, yeah, you might need a diagram just to make sure that everything's back in there, in the place they're supposed to be. But also you'll watch right now and you can see where everything goes. So once everything is lubed up, you put the silver piece back into the body right there. Then the metal tube looks like that, goes back together. So that kind of three-piece formation is set. Alright, so there are the pieces of the bolt. So, one second, move your hand, let me show you guys exactly how it goes back together. First piece, you put the metal silver rod in facing like that. Then the next piece, you screw them together. Next piece, move your hand for a sec. So the bolt looks like that. And now we just have one more piece to deal with. And then you screw that on. And now the bolt is pretty much put back, it's not pretty much, it's actually exactly put back together. So last thing you do, like I said before, is just re-lube all the O-rings one more time. Not a ton, but you know, good amount. Take a little lube, and then you're just gonna screw that. That's the basic maintenance of a clone. You know, pretty much grips, then eye covers, regulator, and the bolt would be the four that I would deal with. Pretty much after every day of play, which is usually about a case of paint through the gun. And like I said before, if you are shot in the feed neck or the ASA, those can easily be taken apart by unscrewing, so you can clean that stuff up. So there's the bolt back together and lubed one final time. So we can go ahead and put that back into the gun. By simply, you know, you guys should know how to do this. You just put it back in and you screw it back in and tighten it up finally with an Allen wrench. Found the correct one this time. So once it's all tightened, that's good to go. Now we can put the regulator back together. Fairly simple.
It's raining out.
It is. If I got any viewers in New York, you can see how I feel the shitty weather. So the bottom piece of the regulator screws into the bottom, obviously, and the top piece screws into the bottom piece, connecting your regulator back together. And then you're going to take the top threads and screw it into the regulator threads inside the body of the gun right there. And once that's done, you can take your nifty little macro line and screw that back on the, or sorry, not screw, you can put that back on the ASA and the reg swivels. And now you currently have a working marker, as long as you probably would want some grips, so, oh, and some eye covers actually. So you're going to go ahead and screw the grips and the eye covers back on.
First. That is the right sign.
Figure out if it's
Nope.